Today's video is slightly different. I'm doing this with Growing Local, who are delivering food parcels out during the summer holidays and encouraging people to make recipes using ingredients from scratch. So this is what's going to be arriving on people's doorsteps. You will be getting, this week it's meatballs, and it comes with instructions and these ingredients. So the mince has come, I've already put that into a bowl, and then we've got some breadcrumbs, eggs, vegetables, tomato puree, oils, garlic, onion, pasta and sauce. And all of these things are what you need to be able to make the recipe. So you get everything that you need, and then you just need a few bits of equipment to go with that. They're designed that you don't need much equipment, so we'll need to get you obviously the bowl for making the meatballs, something to cook them in the oven, and then a grater, chopping board, knife, fork, a peeler if you want to, you don't have to peel things, and then I just like to put the rubbish in there. So the first thing we're going to do is make the actual meatballs, and then we'll go on and make the sauce. So just moving a couple of these things out of the way. So like I said, I've put the meat already into the bowl. There's pork mince and beef mince in here, and that's what's going to be supplied to you. But if you want to make meatballs again, you can just buy any mince that you like. It would be absolutely fine. It doesn't have to be a mixture of the two. There's also some cheese, which I've put in the fridge. So let me just grab the cheese. So Parmesan cheese is going into the meatballs. So the first job that I'm going to do is to grate this finely. I'm going to use the smaller part of the grater, not the big one, and not this very tiny one, but this one in between here. And I'm going to grate down onto a chopping board on a flat surface, okay? It's much safer than grating straight into a bowl. And then we just grate down. We want a couple of tablespoons of grated cheese, so I'm just going to do what I think. From the inside. So I have the recipe here. So going into the meatballs, we've got the mince, we've got 2 tablespoons of dried breadcrumbs, which we've got here. And you can make breadcrumbs yourself at home, no problem. If you've got some stale bread, you can either put it through a food processor or you can grate it yourself on the grater like I've just shown you with the cheese. So 2 tablespoons going in. Breadcrumbs, 4 tablespoons of the cheese. Quite like cheese, so we'll make them big tablespoons. 2, 3, 4. And if, like me, you've grated a little bit too much, we'll save that and we can sprinkle it on top when we serve it. Then we want 1 egg. Just in case, it doesn't happen very often, but just in case the egg is off, we're going to break that into a separate bowl so that we're not tainting all of the ingredients if there is a problem with the egg. Just beat that. And then that goes in as well. A teaspoon, so a smaller spoon, of oregano. You could use mixed herbs or basil or anything that you've got, or fresh herbs if you've got them in the garden. I did 2 there because this is only half a teaspoon, just so you know. And then we need to put in some garlic. So I've got the garlic here, I just need to peel and chop that finely. So I'm going to use this bowl as a rubbish bowl now. If you crush the garlic slightly first, then that helps to get the skin off. So I just did that with my hand. And then I'm just going to finely chop this garlic. You can use a garlic crusher for this job, but not everyone's got a garlic crusher, so we're just going to chop it finely with a knife. Taking care to keep our fingers out of the way. And that goes in as well. Mixing all of this up. I'm going to start off with the wooden spoon, but inevitably I am going to have to get my hands in here and shape them into meatballs. One final ingredient to go in, and that's the salt and pepper. If you don't have any salt and pepper, that's also fine, don't worry about it. Okay, meatballs nearly done. All we've got to do now is shape them. So this is the point where we get our hands in. And it says on the instructions to make about 15 walnut-sized balls. But honestly, don't worry about it. If you end up making more or less, it really doesn't matter. What you do want to do is try and get them all roughly the same size so that they're all cooking at the same time. Otherwise, the small ones will cook and the big ones won't cook. Okay, feels good. Okay. Take a small amount into our hand and just roll it in the palms, and there we have it. Straight into a dish, and then just keep repeating until you've used up all of the mixture. So here they are, 14 meatballs, not quite the 15, but like I say, it doesn't matter how many you get as long as they're evenly sized. I've put them in this dish, and you could cook them directly in this dish, pour the tomato sauce over the top and popping them in the oven, but we're going to cook them in the pan on this occasion, so you'll see the two options. I didn't mention you needed a pan, so you do need a pan to make the tomato sauce in. And then the other ingredients that we need for the tomato sauce, we're going to put in 2 cloves of garlic, which I've already chopped because we showed you how to chop the garlic previously, an onion, and then some vegetables. So we're putting in carrot, courgette and pepper into our sauce, but you could put whatever vegetables that you have or leave some out if you didn't want to use them. So entirely up to you. So the first thing that I'm going to do is chop this onion, and we want it to be quite fine. So the onion rolls around and we want to stop that from happening. So we take the end of the onion off. Whoa! And then I've kept this bowl for rubbish. And then we can chop the onion straight down the middle safely and remove the skin. And then what we want to do is kind of try to follow these lines that are already on the onion, cutting down onto the chopping board, but not actually cutting right to the edge so that it all stays together because we've left the root in place. Okay. And if you've got children helping you with this, you could put a fork in to hold it secure while you're chopping so that your fingers are well and truly out of the way. Okay. What I'm going to do is, the instructions will tell you to get everything ready first, but I'm just going to start the onion cooking while we grate the other vegetables. So we're getting 1 tablespoon of oil warmed up into the pan. You don't have to measure if you don't want to. And just gently, we're going to start the onions cooking, and we'll add the garlic in a little while. So while they're just gently starting, we're going to grate these vegetables, just so that the sauce isn't too chunky. If you wanted to chop it finely, you can do, and then if you've got a blender, you can blend it, or you can leave it chunky. Lots of options. We've washed the carrot, and then same as we did with the cheese, just straight down onto a flat surface. When you get closer to your fingers, obviously take care. And don't worry about that last little bit. It's better than grating your fingers. These are very sharp. They're basically mini knives. Courgette's also been washed and the ends come off. So we're going to grate the courgette in there as well. Going to make a little bit of room now for the pepper. So they're all going in the pan at the same time, so it doesn't matter that they're all mixed up. And then we're going to take our pepper, and the easiest way to get the middle out of the pepper is just to push straight down into it. And then tip it into your rubbish bowl. And the seeds will come out on the sides. And then you can just open it up, and there we have our pepper. And we're going to grate this as well. And I've never grated a pepper before, so it'll be quite interesting. Obviously, as with the onion, you could just chop these vegetables finely. Finding it easier to do it on the side because the back is shiny, so it doesn't really cut through quite so easily. Just going to show you one top tip here while I'm at it. If you did want to chop a pepper, you can also chop peppers with scissors. So you just obviously hold on to it carefully, cut down the length of the pepper, and then cut it into small chunks. So just a different idea. If you're finding it quite difficult with the grater and you're not happy using a knife, then maybe the scissors is another option. Okay, so we're going to have some slightly chunkier part bits in our sauce. Okay, so our onions are cooking down. Have a little look in there. I'll get a spoon. Okay, we just want to leave those in for about 5 minutes. They start to go kind of opaque and see-through, and softened, but we don't want them to go dark brown. So we'll just leave those for a couple of minutes. So the onions have been cooking for about 5 minutes. Now we're just going to add all of this. So the garlic's hiding under there. We've got the courgette, the carrot and the pepper all going into the pan together. All this goodness in this tomato sauce, these vegetables that you'll hardly notice, giving you so much nutrition and flavour. So they stay on there for 5 minutes now as well. The vegetables have cooked down somewhat, so now we're going to add the rest of the ingredients, which is 1 tablespoon of tomato puree, teaspoon of herbs, which is oregano, but again you could use different ones if you wanted to. Pinch of salt and pepper. and just a little pinch of sugar just to take the acidity out of the tomatoes if you want to. And then the final ingredient is our passata. You can buy this in cartons as well, and we're just going to pour this in. I can open it. And then add a little bit of water. Pop the lid back on, give it a shake so we're not wasting any. In that goes. And this is just going to cook down, it will bubble away and the sauce will reduce, so they'll become less sauce and thicken, and then we're going to add the meatballs back into the sauce. So like I did say, you could put the sauce straight over the meatballs, and if you didn't have time to do all of the vegetables and make a veggie sauce, you could just use the passata and pour that over the meatballs for a quicker dinner. Stage then is to get these meatballs into the sauce, so we're not going to touch them, and I didn't mention before that after we'd made the meatballs we did wash everything down, wash my hands very thoroughly before we started making the next stage. So just to be aware of the being careful around raw meat and not contaminating anything with that. So once we've dropped these meatballs into the sauce, we don't want to stir this sauce at all because we don't want the meatballs to break apart. What we're going to do is pop the lid on and leave them to cook for about 20 minutes. And the best way to check if they're fully cooked before eating them is to just take one out and cut it in half, and just to check that it is cooked all the way through before you eat, and that it's hot all the way through. So if it's very hot and cooked through, then you're okay. So we're just covering them up gently. That's it. You can see these little bubbles show that it's simmering. They've gone now. There we are, look, little bubbles. The lid goes on and let them cook down. So while these are cooking down, if you're going to eat these now would be a good time to cook the pasta, boiling water in a pan as per the instructions. Or these would also be delicious over a jacket potato, or even over some toast, or just served with a nice crunchy salad. So entirely up to you. There's some really good ideas on these cards just to show you that you will have leftover ingredients. So some of the things like the tomato puree you might need again for next week's recipe, so do keep hold of them. But other things, if you've got a couple of extra carrots, there's some ideas on here on how to use those up. So enjoy cooking the meatballs, and if you don't eat them all at once, let them go cold, pop them in a pot, and you can save them in the freezer for another time.